cuties. Got something in my eye there. Hold on. Anyway, hi. I read a lot of books again, but here's the thing. Most of them I read were audiobooks. I actually only read like 5 or 6 physical books, and that is because of my job. My job is very, very early in the morning. If you don't know, I work at 4 a.m. pretty much every day, and until the store opens at 7, we can listen to music or something. So I'm always listening to audiobooks, and I listen to them at a faster speed, so I get through audiobooks in like 1 or 2 days, depending on the length. So I read a lot of audiobooks this month. In total, I think I read 25 books, 25 or 26 books. It's a lot. I wanted to do this a little bit differently than I normally do, where I talk and 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 talk. I mean, I'm gonna talk a lot, but I wanted to kind of give you just like the base points, and then you guys can really decide what you want to do with those points, if you want to read them or if you don't want to read them. But I'll try to be more limited in what I'm saying and the words coming out of my mouth, because you can go ahead and go read the full synopses and all this. My Goodreads page is in the description, and I've reviewed almost all of these books. There are 2 that I didn't get to review. One is because one is not out yet. Actually, 2 are not out yet. That's why. They're not out yet. So I didn't actually post reviews yet. So today, if you will, we're gonna spill the tea. It's tea, by the way. This is just a giant glass of my Oyocha green tea. Would love to be sponsored, Oyocha, because you're my favorite tea in the whole world. Anyway, real quick, the stats. Here are the stats of the month, okay? So officially, I did read 25 books. According to my little wrap up here, I read 4 sci-fi, 7 fantasy, 8 contemporary, and 6 historical fiction. Total of pages, I did 8,984 plus some more, because one of the books I read was an alpha read, and I'm counting it because it was the entire book, but we don't know how many actual book pages it is, but it was very long, so I am assuming it's gonna be about an extra 300 to 400 page book. I read 18 audiobooks, 6 physical, excuse me, and 1 ebook apparently, with 176 hours of audiobooks. Yeah, of those as well, I did 19 young adults, 2 middle grades, and 4 adult books. There you go with those stats. So the first book we're gonna talk about, and excuse me, I cannot say this title without singing it this way. Bear with me. We set the dark on fire. Before I get into this book, I should mention it's LGBT month for me. It's my Pride Month reads, so most of these books were LGBT focused. Not all of them, but most of them were. This is by Taylor K. Mejia, or Meya. Sorry, I forget if you say the J or not. I think it's Meya. Brief synopsis of We Set the Dark on Fire. I'm sorry, I can't do it without singing it. Dystopian, patriarchal, 2 wives per man. Wives love each other. An underground rebellion. In Spanish-based fantasy world without like magic or anything. It's just a made-up world based on an old god's story. Those are the base points of the plot of this one. My pluses for this, I did enjoy the first book. I also read the second book, which is We Unleash the Merciless Storm. It doesn't work with the song. We Unleash the Merciless Storm. It doesn't work. Anyway, I liked the first book. I wasn't so hooked on the second one. This book is the POV of Danny. Second book is the POV of Carmen. While Carmen's story is really, really interesting, I just didn't connect with it like I did with Danny. I think Danny has the stronger voice. I like that it's kind of enemies to lovers. It was a very fleshed out world, and the audiobook was really good for Danny. Just really, really good audiobook. Well, I don't really want to talk about too much of the second book because I don't want to spoil a lot for the first book, because I do highly recommend reading this one. This is very timely because it does focus on marginalized people and how they're being treated, and so there's a lot of parallels. What I didn't like about this book is that it's kind of, I've heard it before, at least with like the rebellion side of things. I've kind of heard that story before. So it didn't really feel new, but it was still good. With the sequel, I think it just really lacked Danny's voice. You connect so much with Danny here that switching the POV to Carmen in the second one kind of was just strange, because you don't get Carmen's POV in this. I think it would have been better if it was a dual POV story, and we could have seen both sides the whole time. So that was We Set the Dark on Fire. I'm sorry, I can't not. The next big books I read were the And I Darken trilogy by Kirsten White. This is And I Darken, Now I Rise, and Bright We Burn. Brief synopsis: gender-bent Vlad the Impaler, historical fiction, gay brother, problematic protagonist, but I still like her a lot, action-packed, political in a kind of confusing way, still romantic, and thank God Radu freaking grew his brain up a little bit with that final thing with the thing. Also, Cyprian. There are a lot of mixed reviews about this series, and I can understand why. There's a lot going on because there's a lot of politics in it. What I really liked about it was a very strong female protagonist, even though she's a little problematic because she does knock other women down for their means of survival. Not everyone can be a badass, bloodthirsty, vicious person like you, Lada. So I was a little annoyed with that, but it still made sense in her character to be like that, especially since she's the Vlad the Impaler. I really liked the complicated romance. I didn't like Radu's character at first, but he grew on me. Also, Cyprian. I freaking love Cyprian. He's the best. Anyway, gays marrying gays to protect the gays. Things I didn't like. Baby plotline. The baby plot happens. Mahmed and Lada's relationship was kind of, I liked it at some points, I didn't like it in others, so there's that. I did think it was fairly long. I think it could have left out some stuff. I did not like the deaths of the people that I liked. There's a lot of deaths of people who don't deserve to die that way. Lada's ending. I don't appreciate Lada's ending, even though it's probably historically accurate, I assume, so there's that. It's big, but the audiobooks are really, really good. And they helped me get through it because I would not have been able to get through it without that. I do think Now I Rise is the best one. I like this one the best. I probably like no. Yeah, I like the first one the least, I think. Despite the ending of this and the baby plotline in this one, I still think I like it because of Cyprian. I think Cyprian saves the ending. Tea break. Next up we have The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. Contemporary, also LGBT, it's a gay romance. NASA, first mission to Mars. Social media star protagonist. Mental health rep big time. I really, really liked The Gravity of Us. There were parts of it I was like, huh? These boys on the cover here are both sons of future astronauts, basically, for the first mission to Mars, or possible missions to Mars, and they're dealing with that with their families and stuff, and so they all moved to NASA, I think. I don't know, I forget where it's at, but they moved there to be with their families so that they're training, and it's also kind of a weird reality TV show with the astronauts that kind of gets its head turned, but our main character has his own social media platform that he's very well known for because he wants to be a journalist and stuff, and it gets all kind of crazy shenanigans. I thought the romance was really cute and believable. I liked that there was good mental health rep because one of the characters has severe depression. I really enjoyed seeing that. I kind of, at some points between the relationships, it was a little bit off-putting the way that they went about dealing with their feelings for each other. There were some points where I was like, but overall, it was a beautifully told story, and I really enjoyed it as an audiobook, of course. So I really enjoyed this. It's a very fast read, gorgeous cover. Check it out. Finally, to some physical books. They took me a while to get through because they're massive. The first book is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, followed by Starsight. I was told this was asexual representation. I don't know if I believe that. Just because there is a lack of romance does not mean asexual. Especially the first book, there's no romance. The second book, 70 pages in, people, we get a kiss. Now, that's not saying that asexuals don't have romance, because, hello, I'm asexual. In my stories alone, I have a romance for them. But it's not really explicitly stated or really given any nod to that. There's no part of Spensa where she's contemplating her sexuality at all. So, because there's no real indication, I can't clarify this as asexual. I can just tell you that there's no romance in the first book, and there's only one little tiny kiss in the second book, and then it's off. And we're back into Spaceland. So anyway, to summarize Skyward. The most extra female protagonist in the best way. Talking, sarcastic, snarky ship. Doomslug. Doomslug is the best. Heart-wrenching deaths. Excellent battle scene. Lots of sci-fi detail. Lots of like ship detail and stuff that you can kind of skim over if you're not into that. And lots of good plot twists. Unexpected plot twists. I loved these books so much. I am also really upset that we are not getting the third book in this series until 2021. Excuse you, Brandon Sanderson. See, the Starsight came out last year. So that means people are waiting 2 years for the third book. And there's going to be 4 books in the series, but I don't know. COVID might have changed Brandon Sanderson's plans. But, excuse you, I need more. Spensa is like my favorite of favorites right now. I adore her. She is always like, she's just so extra with her intensity. And I absolutely adored it. I loved it. I loved it so much. Oh my God, I can't shut up about it. My coworkers are so sick of me hearing that. While I was reading this at work, I would like tell them stuff and they're just like, I don't know what you're saying to me, but okay. I got so excited about this. Guys, honestly, even if you're not a sci-fi person, you're gonna like this book. I don't think it's possible to hate this book. Unless you're really determined to hate it. It's so good. I love it so much. And the sequel gives you even more new characters to love, and I just do. And it's just, oh my God. That cliffhanger. Oh, and that's why we really can't wait for this long for the next book, because that freaking cliffhanger. Anyway. Next up, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and The Lady's Guide to Petticoat and Piracy, and The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky. These are all by Mackenzie Lee, and they're a historical fiction with a little bit of fantasy in it, but barely any. So I read books 1, 1.5, and 2. I read them in the wrong order because I didn't realize The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky is a 1.5. But it's only 2 hours long as an audiobook, so really easy to get through and so freaking funny. These books are so funny. And LGBT rep. We have bisexual representation, gay representation, POC representation, mental health, and physical health representation. There is a character in this book who has epilepsy. And then in this book, I thought, well, we kind of get a lesbian romance, but Felicity is ace, and I did not expect that out of this. Spoiler alert, she's ace. She does have a lesbian romance moment with another character who, unconverted lesbian or bi, but kisses her. I won't tell you who it is. It definitely, I thought it was gonna go another way, honestly. I thought it could have gone another way. Anyway, Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. We have double unrequited love because they won't just admit their feelings to each other. Boys. European tour that turns into adventure romp of trying to stay alive because of dumb decisions by this man here on the cover. Pirates, immortality things, alchemy, and just 2 stupid boys who are stupidly in love with each other but just won't admit their feelings. And then in Ladies Guide, we have ace protagonists, a woman who wants to be a doctor and nobody will let her, secret plots, rekindled friendships, dogs are the best, more pirates, and it's just a good fun time. With Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky, it's just gay disaster. With these books, I really love the humor in them. I love the pacing of them. There's good action in it. For the most part in this one, I spent a lot of the time not liking the main character of Monty because he's all about like drinking and sex and being, what's the term? A lech? Is he a lech? No, there's another term that they use and now I forget what it is. He doesn't want to be who his dad wants him to be, and he's in love with his best friend, but he doesn't think about like the future or take care of himself or what he'll need to do if he wants to get out from his dad's house. So there's some frustrating moments with Monty, but overall I still really enjoyed him as a character. I loved his character arc. His growth is what you keep reading for. With Ladies Guide, I liked Felicity from the get-go. I think she's just great. There was one point in this, however. She's talking with this other girl about romance and families and kissing and stuff. And the other character asks her, well, have you ever tried this? And she's like, well, yes, but I don't get anything out. I don't really like it that much. And she says, well, it's just because you haven't kissed the right person, or you just haven't experienced this. And that's something that asexuals get a lot. And I really didn't like that. And it wasn't really addressed that that was problematic. Granted, it doesn't change Felicity at all after the kiss happens, because Felicity's just like, it was nothing. But the other girl is like, oh, that did something for me. But there just was no change for Felicity in that, and I was appreciative of that. But it is something that I see for me and myself and for being a bisexual. I get that line a lot. Well, you just haven't met the right person line. And it's like, no, that's not what this is. It's just who I am, you know? I appreciated the line was kind of in there and that Felicity had no real reaction to it. I do wish that she had been like a little bit, put up more of a fight to that line, but okay. You like how I said I wasn't going to talk a whole lot about all these books and was going to narrow stuff down, and then I totally lied? Yeah, me too. Next up, I read Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. This was really fun. Base synopsis of this. Atheist boy in a Catholic school. Big daddy issues. Anonymous rebel rousing with a newspaper to fight against the Catholic man. Lots of drama. Okay, so it was in the LGBT month, but there is a gay Jewish character, but he's not so much in the forefront. So bear in mind, the protagonist is straight. Good points of this. I like the journey that our protagonist went on. I did like that the girl who was devoutly Catholic and actually wants to be a priest. I liked her strength in what she believed in, even though it's called into question a lot. I like the diversity of characters that we had in this little Heretics Anonymous group. I did not like the ending. And there's only one thing, because I thought it cut off too short, because our main character messes up big time and needs to apologize to more than just the girlfriend. Really needed to apologize to a lot of the other characters, and the gay Jew character in particular needed to be apologized to and talked to, because that rift that happens between them is very big and it's not addressed. So I would have really appreciated if that had been addressed in the end for this. I really wanted more of a satisfying end between him and his parents, especially his dad. Man, his dad really deserved a lot more of a talking to comes around, I guess. That's one of the things that I kind of get annoyed with in books, is when the parents get let off the hook for really bad parenting that they do. A little better with a little adjustments to the end. However, the entirety of the book, the overarching story of the book, was very entertaining and insightful. It's a good topic on religion and a variety of religions, and doesn't really tell you like which one's the best, but it does give you good insight to the people who are of certain faiths or not of any faith. I did appreciate that as a good contemporary read. Time for a disappointing read. Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. This is actually my first Adam Silvera book, and I know that he writes a lot of contemporary, but this is his first delve into the fantasy world, and sadly, it didn't hit the mark. The first half of the book is great, and then I just got so confused. Base synopsis of this. Superhero world, brotherly story. One brother gets powers, the other doesn't. Phoenix mythology? A whole lot of confusion from me. Why I can't properly summarize this book is because I was so confused. What I liked about it is gay protagonist, but his sexuality is not the forefront of the story. It's more him and his brother's story more than anything. I really liked their dynamic a lot. The audiobook wasn't great, because I did read this on an audiobook. I thought, while the main character, hold on, I forgot his name. Emil's voice actor was good. Brighton's voice actor made him sound like he was 40 instead of a teenager, and it just offset. There are also other POVs in this that I didn't understand why they needed to be there. I think he could have done without other POVs. I was just so confused by the other superheroes and their backstories. It was all over the place, and I didn't understand the plot very much. I was just so confused most of this book, so I couldn't give it a good review. It does seem that I fall in with the majority of people reviewing Infinity Sun. He has just released the news for the sequel, but I have no real interest in reading it because I didn't understand the first one. So unfortunately, this was the first disappointing read of the month. But I got through quite a bit before I got to one that I didn't like. Next up we got The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. This was fun. It was interesting. Synopsis-wise, kind of fantasy land, bone witches, caste system based on birds, gay prince. We need more gay princes out there. And gay princesses. We need them all. Okay, so the beginning of this book confused me more than the rest of it. But that was probably just because I wasn't paying as close attention. I was getting kind of to a burnout point while I was listening to all these audiobooks, because this is about the halfway point of me reading. I did like it. I liked our main character. I thought she was very strong protagonist. Was a little confused by the world, but it is pretty thick world building in here as well. I like the dynamic between our three kind of main characters. I liked their journey. I liked that they didn't all get along for a really long time. The romantic interest in this is bisexual, so I did appreciate more bi-rep. I'm not saying the word bisexual because it's like this historical fantasy world, but he's like, yeah, I doesn't matter who it is, no matter their gender. So he's, I don't know, more pansexual then. There's a sequel coming out this month, I believe, and I definitely will be reading it because I really did enjoy this one a lot. What I didn't enjoy was just a little bit of the confusion. I think it could have done a little bit better with the prose in explaining certain things to it, but I enjoyed this a lot. Next up, we're going to talk about an ebook. This is actually the alpha read that I did. It is called Enough by A.L. Williams. I'm one of A.L. Williams' like go-to alpha readers now, which is fun for me. I get to read the books before all y'all. And even though like more erotic fiction is not my style, I do enjoy a lot of the representation and the drama that Alec brings to his writing. So I really enjoy that. I think he's really good at building characters, having a very diverse cast in all of his books. This is a contemporary. I believe Alex said it's going to come out probably August 1st, so it's coming soon. It's outside of Alex's Immortal Scarf series. It's completely separate. It's going to be a duology, I believe. There's going to be a sequel to it. We got a love triangle in a different kind of way. Big time mental health rap. Very dark past for a lot of these characters, so trigger warnings of child rape and abuse, drinking addictions. It's very dark and deep with the themes of it. It still has a really good romance in it. There's also trans rep, and while the trans character is a side character, they're going to be a main character in the second book. So I really enjoyed that. What I didn't like, I would say, and this is just my personal premises, is there is a bit of an age gap between characters. The character of Isabel herself I really didn't like, but that's just, you're not really meant to like her anyway. I think that's kind of made clear. She has a lot of problems. I do think some of her problems in it were taken care of pretty quickly, and kind of wanted, for me, I just kind of wanted to drag out her punishment for the stuff that she does. Maybe that'll happen a little bit more over the second book, I'm not sure, but that was kind of my, okay. There's a lot of plot twists in it, things that I didn't expect. It's a wild ride. It's like all over. Once you think things are going good, you know they're gonna come crashing down the next second. But I was really pleased with the ending of it, for the fact that even if there wasn't gonna be a duology, it's a good book on its own. It can stand alone on its own. So expect that to come out in August. I don't know how many changes are going to be made to it, so whatever I've been saying in this one, it might change once the book is out, because I was an alpha reader, so there's still a lot of editing and stuff going on with it. But there you go. Ebook. All right. Let's talk about some gay witches. More physical reads I did was These Witches Don't Burn and This Coven Won't Break by Isabel Sterling. This is so good, my god, I loved this. Basic synopsis: it's urban fantasy, witches, lesbian and bisexual witches, jealous ex-girlfriends, witch hunters, very much a thriller of a whodunit situation. Giant plot twist I didn't really see coming. Sad, sad ending. Still manages to keep the cute romance happening between the girls. It's so cute. They're just so precious. I want to protect them so bad. This book was so good. You guys, this is such an underrated read. People need to read these books. I don't know why more people aren't talking about them, because they are so good. Hannah is such a relatable protagonist. There's a point, and this is book where I ended up having to screenshot a lot of lines. I would take a picture of a lot of lines and send them to my friends. So my Instagram is kind of covered in quotes from this book and in this book too. It's so freaking funny. I loved it so much. You guys. If there are gonna be any books that you're gonna take away from this video, aside from Skyward and one that I haven't mentioned yet, you need to read these books. These books, read them. Read them. The only complaint I have is that it's done. There isn't a third book, and I'm upset with that because I want to see Morgan and Hannah go to college and be badass witches there, okay? Okay, need it. Next up, I did a buddy read, sort of, with Very Bad Books. At the time of me making this video, I don't know if she's finished it yet, but we did plan on reading it together. So BBB, if you're watching this video, go read the book so we can talk about it, but also turn this video off because I'm about to spoil things for you. Now that BBB is gone, or at least skipping forward. Furthermore and Witchwood by Tahira Mafi. This is our buddy read. We didn't plan on reading this one too, but since I already had the sequel, I had to read it. Synopsis. Weird as hell. Amazing prose. And I say that being like, imagine Alice in Wonderland, Lemony Snicket, and magical realism all put together, and you get Furthermore. Middle grade, real friendships between a guy and a girl, no romance necessary. Thank you very much. I was so happy about that. Paper Fox, Origami Fox. Origami Fox, people. Epic journey into another land. So good. I didn't expect to love a middle grade so much because normally I just read them and think they're cute. This was really good. This had a lot to say, and aside from like the absolute pop and cover here, I loved how it was read. I definitely recommend the audiobook. Such a good audiobook. I didn't expect it to be read by a guy since the main character is a girl, but it's in a way where it is kind of that Lemony Snicket where it's talking to you. Really good audiobook. And then with Witchwood, I thought it was going to be a whole other character. Well, there's a whole other main character, but Alice and Oliver do feature in this. At first I thought they weren't going to, but they do. And this is a little bit darker. It's still very different, very magical world. It's different. It's darker because our main character is, I forget the term for it, but basically she takes care of the dead. So she washes the dead and helps pass their souls. She also sees ghosts, but she's getting very sick, and Alice and Oliver kind of run into her life, and it's definitely a lot darker than Furthermore is, but it still holds that same style of prose that I really loved in Furthermore. Again, gorgeous cover. I don't know if I really have anything I hate about these books or didn't like about them. I don't like the fact that this is also just a duology. I don't think there's going to be another book, and there are so many worlds mentioned, especially like in Furthermore, because there's all these different like towns they go through in Furthermore, and knowing that Farronwood and Witchwood have a connection, there's got to be more that we can go through. So Tahira Mafi, where is the next one? Okay, BBB, you can come back now. So the next book I don't actually own a copy of, but I had it just sitting in my Libby app, so why not? But that is Dear Evan Hansen. This is written by, hold on, there's multiple authors. Val Emick, Stephen Levinson, Bang Puss, I'm so sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. Justin Paul and Bang Puskek. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna write them here, and if I said it wrong, I'm sorry, but I have the worst handwriting in this. Dear Evan Hansen, this is a novelization of the musical. Now, I have not seen the musical, so my review is entirely for the novel. And summary of the novel. Trigger warning, suicide. Mental health representation, misunderstandings lead to shenanigans, lies spin out of control. So with Dear Evan Hansen, it was okay. There were a lot of points that I didn't like about it, and a lot of them revolve around Evan Hansen himself. He gets roped into everyone believing that he was the best friend of a kid who commits suicide. And this was a kid who nobody liked and stuff. Due to letters that he's writing himself for his therapist, Connor, who is the kind of like the school loner, steals his letter in a fit of anger and then commits suicide, and the letter is found on him and it makes it look like it was his own suicide note to Evan Hansen, which is why everyone believes they were secret friends. It's very hard hitting in that sense, and I just kind of didn't like it. I think it probably would work better as a musical, but Evan Hansen's character portrayal he could have done so much better if he had come out earlier with saying that that was not the case. It would have saved everyone a lot of hurt. But then again, there's no drama in the story then. But I especially didn't like him kind of letting Connor's sister believe that, because it leads to a relationship between the two of them. There is LGBT rep in this, but not with Evan Hansen, so it is side characters, sort of. Every single character in this, like, I didn't really like a single one of them. All of them kind of sucked in some way, and it's just so, it's to the point of where it's so dramatic and dark that I just don't have a taste for it. So other people may like it, but it kind of has turned me off from having a desire to watch the musical, because I've seen a lot of people rave about it, but I'm like, if that's the story, I'm not really into it. I don't know. It's up to you if you want to read that one or not. The next book I read was an ARC, and I'm not actually going to give this book a review because even though I was an ARC reader for this, there's going to be a lot of changes in this. But it is Buried Colony by Benjamin M. Whaler. There's going to be a lot of changes that is going to happen now in this book, so I'm not going to review it until I get a new copy of it, and then I will tell you guys more. But it is a sci-fi, it's hard-hitting. That's all I can say really about it, because so much is going to change from what I read from this. We'll see what happens next with that. Short review. Next up. I'm so mad it took me so long to get to this book. I should have gotten it with everybody else and would have raved about it with everybody else. But this is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I can't even talk about it. It's so freaking good. I loved it so much. Basic synopsis. Son of the president. Prince of Wales. Fall in love. Enemies to lovers. Forced friendship that leads to relationship. I'll say that. International relations. Bisexual representation. Multiple characters. Bisexual representation. POC representation as well. Quoting historical letters that are romantic to each other. A lot steamier than I thought, and I went in thinking this was going to be more YA, but it's not. This is an adult book. These guys are older. It's more like new adult, because they're both of age to both drink and stuff. I think they're 20, 21's, a little bit older. So freaking cute. Oh my god. And like the drama between them is so short-lived. I'm so happy about that. And it's more about their support and love for each other than anything. There's only a brief moment where it's like they're gonna break up, but it comes back together in a way that's like, thank goodness. And aside from that, it doesn't just end when they're together. A lot of contemporaries end the moment a couple is together. This goes on further because there's more about these characters than just their romance. There's more to them. They're so well developed, and they both have their own kind of dreams, but they're stuck in this spotlight world of being royal or being in politics in America. And oh my god, it's so good. And the audiobook for this, I loved it. I thought it was just the best. It has such good humor points while still balancing with the drama. I gave this 5 stars, people. I don't usually give contemporaries 5 stars. They're usually 4 or less. 5-star contemporary is hard for me to have, all right? But we got one right here. Next up, we've got Darius the Great is Not Okay by Adib Khorram. Kind of brief synopsis. I'm doing really bad with these synopses. I've been filming for so long already. I know that I've been talking a lot, but can you blame me? Middle Eastern representation, mental health representation, big time mental health rep. I loved the mental health rep in this. Not gay yet. Going to be gay in the sequel. It's not gay yet. Best friends. Daddy issues. So in this book, I thought that these 2 main characters were actually going to fall in love. It turns out that is not the case. They're just best friends, and they become best friends, and it's really beautiful that way. Darius they don't explicitly say that Darius is gay. It's presumed, but in the sequel, there's definitely like he has a boyfriend, and there's also another love interest. So I haven't read the sequel yet. Has it come out yet? I don't think, it might not have come out yet. It's coming out soon, or it has just come out. I am excited to read that. What I really liked about this is the mental health representation in this is so good because Darius suffers from depression and he goes to Iran with his family, and in that culture, taking medicine for depression is just kind of unheard of. It's like, well, get over it kind of culture. And he is a, what is it called? A fractured Persian. And he really loves Lord of the Rings. So I really appreciated all the Lord of the Rings references that happened in this. And it wasn't like obvious Lord of the Rings ones. It was very subtle where it happened. So if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you kind of get it. But even if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, you can still kind of get it. Their development of their friendship is really, really good. They understood each other even when things kind of went to hell for Sorab for a bit there. They still came together. I thought it was a really beautiful story. This is one where dad is a big mess up with handling his son because dad also has depression, and Darius has held on to a lot of things that his dad has done in the past, and they actually have a good talk to kind of understand both sides of the story. And this is where I think the growth of both parent and son works really, really well. And I like that a lot. I really enjoyed the culture too, because I don't know a lot about Iran. I don't know about Persian culture very much at all. And I really appreciated that. Fun fact, falafel, not really Persian. FYI. Apparently, no one actually knows its origins, but it's not them. I really, really like that. I actually, because of this book and because of the way it describes all the whole country and like the beautiful architecture stuff, I want to go and I want to see this stuff. And of the way that they're talking about all of it. I hope someday I'll get to go and see. I mean, I want to go literally everywhere in the world, but this book made me want to go there. I recommend this. Check this one out. I'm really excited for the sequel. We'll see what happens with it. Next book I read, I also don't own, but I got it in my Libby app, and I definitely want to buy a copy of this one. It was very good. This is Stay Gold by Tobley McSmith. This is trans representation. So the main character is a trans male character. He's a high school boy, and he's just transferred schools. Cute romance in it. There's a lot of LGBT rep. There's a lot of mental health rep in it too, because of things like body dysphoria and stuff like that. That happens for our main character. Whose name is Pony, and it's just like the coolest, that's like such a different name, and there's a good backstory for it as well. There are problematic moments, but there is growth from those problematic moments, especially for Georgia, who is the cheerleader character. It is a dual POV. I really liked that the big tough jock character is not an asshole. I really, really appreciate, other characters are assholes, but even though he doesn't like get the girl, he's still cool about it, and that's really good. Trigger warning, again, there are suicidal thoughts that happen in this. There is a severe beating near death that happens in this as well. Very unsupportive father in this. A lot of these books had bad fathers, and in this one there definitely is one, because the father consistently uses Pony's dead name and consistently thinks that Pony is just gonna wanna change back. That's why he won't support Pony's top surgery. So Pony takes a job helping sort out the things of an old actor, and who also, gay representation there too. Very emotional while still being lighthearted and cute. I think the romance that happens between Pony and Georgia is adorable, but when it does kind of hit the fan, it hits the fan for them. While Georgia's story is still kind of important, Pony's story is the bigger story of it, and it kind of makes Georgia look like a whiny, privileged white chick. Cheerleader white chick. There is that struggle, but she learns a lot, which I really appreciate, and she's still learning. And she admits that she's just really uneducated and needs to be better about it. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the realism of what happens to Pony and to what has happened for a long time to trans people all across the world. So I really appreciated that. I think this is just a story that doesn't quite exist yet, and I was really happy it does now. Also, Tobley McSmith is coming out with another story. I think it's called Act Cool, with another trans character as the main character, because it's his own voices as well. I really, really enjoyed it. There are some mixed reviews about it, but I think that's, people might not be thinking too critically about it, because you just can't have a perfect character. It just doesn't work in this context. People have to learn. And that's what this book kind of does for a lot of people, or what I think it's trying to do is really explain to those who aren't educated about what it is to be trans and the journey and struggle that trans people all over the world face. So if you're looking for really good contemporary romance with a trans lead, definitely pick up this book. It's super cute and I need to get my hands on a physical copy. And I really wish there was a sequel. I don't want this to be a standalone. I think that's one of the reasons I took a little bit of a star away from it, because I'm like, but I want a sequel. I want to see them go off to college. This is the struggle with YA. I always want to see them grow up all the way. All right? I want to see it. We're at the last book. We finally made it. Oh my gosh, this video is so long. This is not a good time to be filming this because it is July 1st. It is the first day of NaNoWriMo and I have not written a single word. Before we can do that, we're going on to the last book. This was an ARC that I received. This book comes out on July 14th and I was happy and sad about it. This book is A Sweet Mess by J.C. Lee, and this is a Korean romance. There's nothing gay at it. I just wanted to read ARCs as well this month and get them done, especially because this book is coming out so soon. I wanted to have a review out for it before it came out. Basic synopsis: baker, food critic, mishap where he gets the wrong cake and gives her a bad review. Before that, there's a one-night stand between them, and there's a lot of tension. Not explicit, but still steamy, which I really appreciated. Lots of drama, cooking show, secret romance. Unfortunately, baby plotline. Also, the side romance has a major age gap. There's a 17-year age gap on this side plot romance. Don't appreciate that, but I really don't appreciate the baby plotline. Like, this book was so good. For the first 200 pages, I loved it. And as soon as we got baby plotline into this, it went downhill for me. Our main character is super strong. Aubrey is a really good female protag. I think she's a little bit different than a lot of others, especially in a contemporary hetero relationship. Landon is a very interesting lead male. Both are very complicated. Both have their own traumas and stuff. They get into a very complicated situation because he is so, he's got a celebrity status and she's a little tiny mom and pop bakery that she started on her own. I like that she's an entrepreneur and she's really self-sufficient, but their attraction is just so adorable. Their banter is so good and I really like that. That's why first 200 pages I was like, I love this story. It's gonna get a high rating. And then it pulled the baby plotline, which you might like baby plotlines. I don't. I hate them with a passion. This could have gone so much better. Especially because when she finds out she's pregnant, she's been like, it's been like 2 months and she's been like drinking up a storm until then. I was like, no. No, thank you. It still ends really sweet, and even with the baby plot, it's okay, but I think this might actually be kicking off a little bit of a universe too, because his little brother and her best friend, at the very, very end of the book, we get a little inkling that his little brother is into her best friend, and I'm like, so there could be more to this story. I don't know if I'll read it, because if there's another freaking baby plotline, I'm like, no thank you. No thank you. And this is one of the problems with adult contemporary romance. Baby plotlines are everywhere. Major age gaps are also everywhere. I don't care if they're consulting adult. It's so weird. 17-year age gap? No thank you. No, 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 no. If they hadn't said it, if they had not explicitly said 17-year age gap, I would not have known and everything would have been fine. But no, we had to say it. That was all the books that I read in June. I know I said I was going to be shorter with my descriptions and stuff. Apparently I just can't do that because when I start talking about books, I can't shut the hell up. My bad. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, check out my Ko-fi page and you can support me as a content creator on there. Let me know if you've read any of these books. What are your thoughts on them? Do you differ with me on my opinions about them at all? I love talking and debating about books. Whole lot. Time to start reading for July and all that jazz. So if you guys have any further questions or comments, leave them down below or on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter, and I'll see you next time, cuties.